We're trying this out. We've got some. Jeff is going to be with us. We have a guest, Joran Beam. We're going to talk about some cool stuff today. Hopefully, just going to give it a minute for people to get in. If they don't, then they can watch on the replay, and we'll move on from there. It's a weird time. Sorry for the weird time, folks. It's we had some scheduling issues, and I really wanted to get this with Joran today, so that's what we did. We let me turn my phone down. My bad. That was horrible. Oh my god. It's like I don't even know how to I don't even know how to like operate my equipment today. I'm just gonna close that. All right. So anyhow, to heck with it. Let's just get into this. Let's get into this week's fuel surcharge. So the national average went up 0.004 this week to a whopping $3.734. The West Coast Pad 5 went up another 5 cents, excuse me, to 4.424. The fuel surcharge is 0.405. The West Coast fuel surcharge. Hey, this is a new one, Jeff. 0.11 with a 69-cent disparity. I've never seen 11 cents. So yeah, there we go. That's that. Let's get rid of that and let's get on with the meat of this. And look, there's Joran. There's Jeff. What's up, guys?
Hey, what's going on?
So yeah, Jeff, 11 cents West Coast. I know you're stuck at the house, so it's not making you happy because you're not out there getting it, but 11 cents? I've never seen 11 cents.
Yeah, that's over the top, man.
I'm digging it. Oh man.
Well, it depends on how you look at it, right? If you're looking at the economy as a whole, I mean, there's something wrong.
Right. Well,
so
no, okay, look, I
mean,
look.
I mean, you guys need to understand.
Don't talk smartness here. I'm talking about what's going to my bottom line.
For now,
you're right. You're right.
So the point I always make, guys, is it's time to save some money.
Right.
In times like this, it's time to save some money because it doesn't last.
He's my voice of reason.
In 2008, we got up to a whopping 8 cents differential, and we thought that was crazy then.
Right.
And those of us that saved money survived the downturn.
Exactly.
And those that didn't do so well.
Yep.
So save some money, man.
It's pretty easy to fail when it all turns around the other way when you haven't planned for it. So hey, so this week's topic, we got Joran Beam here. Joran Beam, wait, oh look, I even got a little thing here. Watch this. Look. Oh, Joran Beam, Director of Driver Qualifications, Woo. Swift Transportation. Whoop whoop.
That's official. I like it.
You like that? Look, man, I tried, dude. You know, you have no idea. That takes me like a whole 32 seconds to make, and can I tell you, it's a lot of time out of the day.
He just built a whole new computer last night so he could do that.
Yeah,
like
I like it.
Like I was working on his computer. Look,
hey, money well spent.
Know. Oh my
money
God.
well spent.
I got home sometime around midnight, and I'm like, I'm gonna put all these parts together. I'm gonna have this computer running no time. 6 a.m. is when I finally went to it, but the damn thing was running. That's all I got to say. All right.
Hey, if it works,
go.
So let's see who's here. Facebook user Reginald Terrence Yancey. What's up, dude? And yeah, whoever you are, a Facebook user, I'm gonna throw a thing out here just for you. Just you know, feel free to pop over to that link. It'll just let it see your name, and it'll say, hey, it'll let you now see. Let us see your name. They don't care about anything else in your account. They're not trying to get anything. All right, so let's get in this. Joran, we have mentors, owner operator mentors, the independent contractor. What's the it was like this whole
independent contractor training consultant.
Look at that. You're on this. Good God.
Hey, you know how many times I messed that up? Working in owner operators. It definitely was.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. It was definitely. It was a mouthful. You're like, wait, what is it called?
Oh, I bet, man. I'm like, mentor. That's what I got. That's look. It's just too much work to do anything else.
Right.
All right. So we hey, Ken Kelly, see you over there, buddy. So yeah. So with the new program, we talked to Brett about the money side of thing, and a lot of people were jumping for joy over the money, and for me, it put a weird focus on just the money thing. And Joran and Jeff, we've all talked about this before. You know, the money thing for me has never been what drove me to mentoring. I don't mentor now. I like doing the owner operator kind of mentor type thing, right? Where I'm helping owner operators do better in their business. That's what Jeff and I do. And but for those that are getting back into mentoring brand new guys, you know, I threw this one at you earlier, Joran. You know, the great mentors don't follow the money follows great mentors.
Yeah, and I
So
think you're spot on with the we need to make a shirt. I don't know
right,
what's hold you wanna I know it's not for the money, but you start marketing that shirt, that might be something
man,
for you.
I might have to drive one less day a week.
You
I'm
know
just
what I mean?
saying. But yeah, so for you guys, what is it you're looking for? I mean, because you know you're running the show on that end of it. So I mean, what is it you need from the owner operators to do this that maybe haven't mentored before, even as company drivers?
Yeah, I mean, I want to make sure kind of to talk to both points, if you don't mind.
Yeah,
So when we talk about the money, for those who may know, I worked in the owner op department for I think it was 9 or 10 years, and so I have a huge spot for the independent contractor. That was my jam for a long time. I worked with a lot of folks, really enjoyed what I did, and there were folks that did training at that time, and we
right,
used to charge the 5 cents. So when you had a
right,
student on the truck, you were automatically deducted 5 cents, and I never liked that before. And so I think one of the big hypes when we kind of are talking about the money is the fact that we're taking a better approach at this, and we're just saying, hey, we're not going to do that, which is obviously going to put more bottom line money to your pocket, which is a win. I'm happy to see that. I think that that's a good move. Now that being said, I do 100% agree with you. You can't come into this. There's a lot of things you just can't go into it all about the money, because the money will come
right,
and the money will go, and you could potentially make some quick money, but it's not going to be substantial. You're not going to be able to sustain. You got to go in it for the right reasons. And what we're looking at when we talk about trainers is we want folks that want to share that knowledge, that are good drivers themselves. And the problem is, there's folks out there who are they want to run the truck. They think this is an extra log book. And
right,
we've heard the stories of people who train at other companies or anywhere, or they're just running two books. And that's not the case. What we're trying to do here. We have electronic logs. We have a much tighter control of how we operate things. But even then, there's teaching somebody how to use the Zonar. I mean, how to navigate the Zonar is something so
right,
basic that you have to know how to do when you're driving a truck solo. And if you don't let your student, you don't teach them how to do it, then how are they going to be successful when they're out there on their own? And so I think the big thing is just that want to share knowledge, that want to teach the next generation of drivers. And are they perfect? No, of course they're not. I mean, they're
what?
student drivers. I know, who knew, right? But there's a lot of misconception. They're supposed to be perfect drivers, or they were at the academies, or they came from a third party school. They should know every. That's not the point. They're
Right.
new. They're new in the industry. You're going to have them for 4 to 6 weeks, and you're not going to teach them everything. They're still. I know drivers have been driving 10, 15 years that go, hey, I learn stuff all the time.
Hey,
You
I try
have
to
to
learn every day, so
you have to. I mean, it's just otherwise you adapt or die. And so I totally agree with what you're saying. We want people who love the idea of training. Now, that being said, you should be compensated for putting in that extra effort. You should be compensated for, being able to share that knowledge. That knowledge wasn't free to you. You
right.
had to put in the time, you had to learn how to do it. And then to be able to show somebody how to do it, that's a skill in its own. Not
Oh,
everybody, I mean, I can do
absolutely.
figure eights in a truck, but that doesn't mean I can show you how to do it.
Right.
So there's a lot that comes into the training piece that we really want to respect and appreciate. And so I don't think it's necessarily any right or wrong, but we want to take a common sense approach to training. We want people who really genuinely enjoy it, that want to show our expectation for our students, for the Swift company students, is we want to show them a good experience.
Right.
You guys know driving is tough these days, and then people are out there kind of fighting over drivers, and so if we have bad experiences with bad mentors, we're just driving people away from the
Oh,
company, and
absolutely.
that doesn't benefit any of us. And we all win. In my mind, we win and we lose together. If we take great care of our customers, and we deliver freight on time, and we do a great job on that end, we get
Right.
more business from them, we gain more customers, we do what better, with rates,
Right.
then we
Right.
all win. But if our drivers can't deliver, and they can't, we have accidents, and there's all these different things, then it hurts us as an organization, which affects your pay, it affects us all. And so I think there's a kind of an inherent way we really just want to treat these folks really well. We want
Right.
to bring them through. And then the big thing is we don't upgrade every single student. We know that that's just not the nature of the beast. And I'm proud to say that. I don't think that any program that has 100% pass rate makes you wonder, how detailed the program is. And I think
Right.
we want to put the right people in trucks that are safe, that they're capable, they're confident, and that they're prepared to do the job. And so that's the kind of folks that we're looking for.
And you know that from in the past when we've talked and Jeff and I talk about this stuff all the time, that there was a point in time in the past, and I'm not going to dwell there, but it was we got to push you to team. We got to push you to team. I'm like, why? Let's train people, man. Let me sit in the front seat
Well,
and actually train people.
especially from the perspective of an owner operator, I can remember when IEL was telling guys, look, these trucks are expensive, just mentor.
Right.
And basically what they were selling, IEL was selling, this was years ago. Okay, those people don't even work for the company anymore, just so everybody knows. But there was a time where it was literally just go mentor your student will pay the truck payment.
Right.
I mean, that's totally the wrong focus. I mentored for 13 years. I just burned out on it, and I was becoming an angry man. So
he was too. Oh my gosh, you should have heard him on some days. He's like, "Oh my god." I'm like, "Yeah, it's time for a break."
yeah. So
and the corporate direction gets muddy, though. I think, like you said many years ago, or in different departments, I think people have their own assumptions maybe that they think will be beneficial, but I don't think as an organization that's ever been the direction we've wanted to go, and I don't think teaming is the right approach, and we don't encourage it.
Right.
Super solo, you can do just as well, and all of our bonuses and all of our structure is set up around that. You can do fantastic and be up in the front seat a lot of the time.
Yeah, super solo is really the way to do it. I think, because that gives the students the opportunity to run the truck in those last couple of weeks.
Right.
So that the way I used to do it was I would basically leave it up to the student. By what I mean by that, though, is I evaluated the student, and if they were okay to team, we would team. But that was maybe 2 guys a year. Everybody else was a super solo. And those 2 guys a year, they were usually guys that drove for like Werner for 20 years, retired, and then for some dumb reason wanted to come back OTR. Right.
Too many years, and so they had to do a little training.
So they had to do the full thing because they had been off the road for 5 years. Those were the guys that I teamed with because they just wanted to get done and out on the road. I was basically just teaching them Qualcomm. But everybody else, you never had to team to make money in this scenario. So the way I did it was I was just there as a driver to pick up the slack, right? So Mike Schuler is the one I've been working with since I started. He's a great guy, and he used to tell me, Jeff, when I look at your logs, I just didn't drive that much. My student would be burning a 70, and I might have driven 30 hours that week. And that was just me. Okay, the student got tired, so I needed to drive.
Right. Yeah.
And
I used to start my days at like 4 a.m., drive until whenever they decide they want to wake up, and then they ran the rest of the day. We were doing like 900 miles a day and parked 8 hours almost every night.
Yeah.
But that's a perfect example. And I don't, the funny thing is, I don't think student drivers don't get in a truck and just run down a 10-hour day.
Right.
Like I totally think a lot of this stuff is just, internet stuff and misconception and hearsay. Because I don't know that many people are really, I've never heard anybody pressing and mandatoring any kind of teaming. I think that's a lot of people just making decisions on their own. And I mean, I think some freight makes, might need to stretch a little bit, but even then you can always call in and reschedule. I mean, the way freight's booked has got nothing to do with who it's planned on. And so I definitely agree with you, Jeff. I think that you can run that kind of operation. You can still do fantastic. And there's no reason to put yourself in any kind of harm's way. I just don't. It's a new driver. I don't know why people would want to even consider that. I want to know who's driving the truck with me.
Well, one of the things I get from a lot of guys is that, I couldn't sleep when someone else was driving. I would tell them, well, what makes you think I was sleeping while they were driving?
Yeah, don't.
I mean, the truck's shut down at least 6 hours a day. And, Charlie and I were both in the Army. So when we get 6 hours of sleep, we feel like we've been on vacation, right?
We're on fire again. We're ready to do some stuff.
Right. So I just set it up that way to make sure that everybody got enough rest. And if you got that one guy every once in a while that had experience, and most of those guys too, they kind of had this weird attitude of let's make Jeff some money. And I was totally down with that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you get those guys and like, let's go make money.
You were confident in them, and that's the part that I think is so important. You tested them, and you had said it earlier. You evaluated them, And so, because you're not dumb. Oh, sure, guy, I don't know. Go ahead and
Right,
drive us while
yeah.
I sleep in the
Right.
back. No, no, no. I mean, there's so much to be learned. And I think the evaluation piece, and that's why today we ask our guys for that first week to make sure you have the student and you're in the front seat the entire time. Because you gotta,
Mhm.
I mean, this is a big deal, and training is important. Knowing what their abilities are and what they're capable of is just so important to what we're trying to operate and what we're
Right.
trying to do.
I think the big thing for people to understand too is that even on the owner operator side, we're leased to Swift and we're all on the same team. If you choose to take this on, guys, you're training future Swift drivers. The better they do, the better Swift does. The better Swift does, the better we do.
Exactly.
It really is a symbiotic relationship. So if you're gonna go into it, be serious. I actually came to Swift specifically to do what I did. I became a truck driver. I drove for a year. I became a mentor, and then I leased a truck. Bam, bam, bam.
And that was his
That
Jordan,
was
that
my
was
business
his
plan.
business plan from the start. I mean, he laid that out and he's done it, man.
And it makes sense. That's good. So Jeff, that's kind of the idea, right? Like have a little bit of a plan before you get started. Crazy, right?
I was the
And you
exact
did it.
opposite. I'm like, I'm gonna go drive a truck for Swift because they're going to electronic logs sometime soon, and I'm tired of running multiple logs because I was running for a refrigerator company. I don't want to train people, and I don't want to own a truck. And what did I do? I put in a mentor application before I got off my mentor's truck, and that was because I didn't like my mentor. And I'm like, I could do better than him, and I'm gonna do better, and I'm gonna make some things happen. I'm gonna change the world. And I did it one driver at a time. And then the whole owner op thing, that was a whole nother stupid decision to get into it. But I got into it with a business background, and then it worked out. You know what I mean? And here we are. But
I know this is your show, but I feel like you should have had an American flag waving in the background while you were
right?
doing that speech.
There you go.
Whoa,
Yeah.
no doubt.
Well, another thing that I hear from guys all the time, I just forgot what I was gonna say. Dang it! I hate
Did
getting
it
old.
hurt? It
It
hurt. It
hurt.
looked like it
It's
hurt.
like an ice cream headache. But we have a
Well,
question here, so
Well, like Ken
or a
Kelly said, I
comment.
never slept behind a student the 5 years I trained. When someone asked why, I said I never met a single driver who could train while they were asleep. And that's a
That's
great
good.
point. That's exactly what we're talking about. If the mentors, if they're feeling like they're forced to team, and like I said, days gone by, way, way back, right? That was the thing. I mean, that was part of the business model as it was put to me by former leadership, and they're like, look, we have to have you guys team because we need it, we need it, we need it. And I'm like, well, I'm not gonna. And that's when I quit mentoring.
Mhm.
But I mean, I was like, why? I can still run damn near, as long as it's not JIT type freight, I'm good.
Yeah.
Any other freight, we were good time wise, and running super slow. Like I said, 900 miles a day. Really, come on, it's not that drastic.
No, well,
No.
but I think so. Eric and Ken both said the same thing, and so
Right.
I only say that because I've heard too. Well, we're forced to train. Who forced? Like I don't know. I've been a Swift quite a while. I don't remember anybody forcing anybody to do it. And these two have been doing it for 5 years, and I don't know how long Eric's been doing it, but
Yeah.
I don't think like I think again I think there's a misconception out there that they need to or like oh I got to make my payments. You can do it without that though. Like I think
Right.
that's just maybe the first thing they think of, but it's not required and it's not something we actually want you to do. I'd rather you guys run super solo because the sleeping thing, I don't think Ken could have said it any better. Like
Right.
you can't train while you're asleep. Now, the first 2 weeks, now once you start establishing that confidence and you see what their abilities are, you don't have to be in the front the entire time. There's
Right.
going to be periods where it's totally acceptable to have them driving and maybe you take a nap in the back or just take some downtime. But I definitely think being in the front seat as much as you can, that's the purpose here is
Jeff
to
and I both used to sit in the bunk while the student was driving. We'd have the curtains closed, and we'd just sit back there, kind of watch on Google. All right, we're going all right. Speed's good. All right, here comes his turn. Oh, he made the turn. All right, cool. We're still
you
on
had it
track.
on the navigation.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
and, on
Oh,
the
that's
Oh yeah.
awesome.
following on like Google Maps or something like that.
Right.
And one of the advantages as an owner operator is I've been driving the same truck for so long. I could tell how fast they're going by the road noise.
Yep.
Right? Isn't that
And it
funny?
used to wig them out. I'd come out and said, I told you 60 miles an hour. Oh, how'd you know I was doing 70? Well, the road noise, man, it's my truck.
Right.
That
Oh,
wig them out.
actually, you know what? That brings up another thing, Jordan. So in the past, owner operator mentors were required to regovern their trucks down to 65. Someone recently told me that that's actually not in the addendum now. How are you guys handling that?
IC training consultant, just to make sure we keep using that full
I'm
name.
sorry. Independent contractor training consultant. Yes, sir.
I'm just teasing. No, so independent contractors, like you guys are both, you guys are there. You guys, you're kind of that next level driver. I mean, you're running your own business. You're talking about fuel. I mean, you're really into the business a lot deeper than a lot of folks are. And we're going through one the requirements to become an IC training consultant is you got to put an application in. Your terminal's kind of evaluating your person. Like, are you somebody with
Right.
the skill set that's able to train? And then the safety team looks at you and makes sure that your safe scores and that you're appropriate, that your logs aren't off the chain, like just everything is appropriate. Once we determine all that as a that level driver, do we have to? That was something that we had a lot of conversation around. Do we require you to go to the shop, put your
Right.
settings, then when you don't have a student, now you got to go back to the shop, and then we're just creating unnecessary shop visits for you.
Right.
That our assumption is we're going to operate on trust. Like we have fantastic drivers, and our independent contractors are fantastic also. This is what we need you to do. This is how we expect you to operate. And we're really banking on the fact that we just have great drivers, and that when we say,
Right.
hey, this is what the expectation is, because you are training a Swift company driver, we need you to adhere to these policies when they're driving the truck. I mean, Jeff can tell you, I said 65. What are you, you're at 67. Like we want to make
Oh,
sure that
yeah.
they maintain the speed and are appropriate. So when they get their truck, they know how to operate. But when they're not on the truck, you operate the truck the
Oh,
way
I'd
that
freak them out
you,
these days because I'm down to 55 miles an hour just about everywhere I go now. And people
with
are
the
like,
cost
"You're
of
doing
fuel, how
what?"
could you not? I mean,
Right? I mean,
Well,
it's gold right now.
I kind of created that monster, so I'll take
Oh, yeah.
responsibility for that.
Yeah,
Charlie's
yeah.
gotten really, really crazy about that because I used to be that guy telling
Yeah.
people to slow down, and Charlie was like, "Yeah, you should," but I don't. Well,
Oh,
now
yeah.
he is, and he's
I'm like, you should definitely drive slower. And I'm running around 70 miles an hour, around Atlanta and all this crap just to get the hell out of there. And
What's
then
your
I'm like,
biggest cost though?
oh, absolutely, fuel.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I think
Yeah.
as an independent contractor, if you're going to be smart enough to go into the business and then you're going to try to add training to it, why would you not want to run the truck a little bit, like appropriate to maximize your fuel? And so when you
Yeah.
do that, now you're saving money on one end and you're making money training, while Jeff was running what you say
Exactly.
30 hours a week. So
Yeah.
you're observing somebody, teaching them how to drive. They're running all the miles. Like again, it's not a freebie and it's not just chasing the money, but it's just smart. I mean, he had somebody basically running the truck for him, and then he would add a little extra to it, and he's banking on the fuel too. That's just a win-win.
See how Rosie is there?
Oh, she
She's
puts you
chiming
right
in.
on blast.
She's
she's
like,
dropping
now he's telling me to drive 55. She's like, no, I'm not doing it. I'm gonna drive 60. And she'll wait till I close
Yeah.
my eyes and I can hear it.
Well, Rosie, you could tell Charlie Jeff drives 60. So
Whatever.
So
But yeah,
I
no,
I
so
remember what
that's
I was
cool.
going to say, by the way.
Oh,
So
good.
the qualification as far as how long a guy has to be driving, this is something that just usually when it comes up on Facebook, it gets out of hand because everybody's got an opinion, and
Oh
we
yeah.
all know the saying about that. So my experience was, as I said earlier, I came to Swift to do exactly what I did, to own a truck and train.
Yeah.
The reason is because ever since back when I joined the Army, right, I've always worked my way into training positions, and I'm pretty
Right.
good at it. You know, when I was working for the phone company Quest, I was training people on DSL and things like that, how to sell, and then it just seemed natural to me to teach. So I set my goal at 1 year because I needed to learn the business first before you could teach anybody anything. But that's something that got, oh, you should have to have 5 years of experience, or whatever number they pull out of the air, right? And and I'm trying to get people to understand that not everybody has the same skill set.
Right.
Some people are just natural born teachers,
Right.
and they love it usually.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's what kept me into it for as long as it did. I mean, during, as you know, we get burned out. But
Oh, absolutely.
I lasted 13 years
I don't
before
know
that
how he
happened.
did 13, but I
And
hats off, brother.
there's
Hats off.
there's a guy in the Swift drivers group that's been a mentor since I think Jerry like started the company or something. The
Right.
guy's been around forever, and he's always mentored. I
Yeah,
don't know how he does it, but
it's
but
amazing.
that I think that part of the discussion, I bring it up because I think it needs to end, right? You guys have your standard of it's been in my career. It's been anywhere from 6 months to a year of experience before they would let you mentor. What is it right now?
So if you come through and you train with Swift, then we want to see at least 9 months of driving, and then we want to see 3 months of that at least in winter driving. Because if you've never driven in the wintertime, we want to make sure that you've experienced some of that. And then, of course, like I said, it's really kind of a holistic review from your terminal and the safety department. And we want to make sure you're operating a good business. I mean, that you're running appropriate, that you're doing what what we would expect you to be able to teach, that you're actually facilitating and doing it. If you come from outside of Swift, then you need to have at least a year's experience. And then when you get to Swift, we want to see at least 30 to 60 days. And that's just so we can kind of get a little bit of a bearing of, how you operate and who you are. And then again, it's really a lot of the great things that I'm just so happy about how we operate at Swift is this: we use good common sense thinking. Because I think when you place so many strict musts and rules and you put all these different policies in place, you really take away the ability for anybody to make any kind of good judgment decisions.
Right.
You said it, Jeff. I forget how you put it. You just said some folks just have it. You were talking about yourself, I think. Some folks have a natural ability to train.
Right. Some
just
people are
have
just
that skill.
natural to. It's an inherent skill that some people just have.
It really is. And so if you come in and so let's say you were in the military. What branch did you serve, by the way?
Army.
Army. So did you drive in the Army by chance?
No, I go ahead, Charlie.
Is that a loaded question?
You want to say something?
No, go ahead.
We have sibling rivalry over MOSs, but I was a cavalry scout, so
I got you.
The only time
I was worried I stepped into
a
something
Cav
there.
Scout. Oh. That's totally inappropriate. I apologize for
better
it.
than a rent-a-cop.
Hey,
Oh,
but at least I got to jump out of airplanes. I'm just saying. See the
so
wall?
yeah,
I'm worried I started something here. I didn't mean to start.
My
it's all
only
good.
driving experience in the Army was Humvees, and that was
Right.
only until I made E4.
Gotcha. The reason I asked
in the right
is
seat.
there's a lot of folks that were the veteran program is a huge program we're pushing right now, and there's a lot of great opportunity, and there's a lot of folks that had driving experience. So if you came in like that, then you go through our training, you're not coming in off the street of never really having operated a truck. So there, like you said, there's just different, every person is just different. Like you can have two trainees that totally train differently, and one within just a few weeks is already fantastic, and then the other one, hey, maybe in a few weeks they're not quite where they need to be, and we need to go a couple more weeks.
Right.
We really want to operate on the competency base of what does somebody need to be safe, capable, and confident when they drive. But then to your point, we have a standard of what we want to see. But if you see somebody at 8.5 months or 8 months, that's just phenomenal. I mean, they're just fantastic at what they do. They run a great program, and they have that inherent ability. They come in, they chat with everybody in the terminal. The terminal just knows
Right.
Jeff is somebody we want training. Like if I can make 37 Jeffs and have them under my board, I would be a happy guy. Like that's where you look at this and you have to go, what makes the best sense? Like why would we hold Jeff back from something that would benefit him, would benefit us as an organization? So we try to take into those things and make those part of our decision making. Is does he have the skill set, and can he safely train other people to drive? And that's kind of how we try to operate. But just the rough number is 9 months of experience, certain safe scores, terminal leader and safety leader recommendation. And then at that point, for the ICs, we then send them the addendum. They digitally sign the addendum, and then they're ready to rock and roll.
And like you said, there's no longer that 5-cent deduction on the mileage rate.
Yeah.
Just so we do touch on the money. And then I'll go on this other route, and everybody knows my feelings about this, but whatever. So when the student completes and upgrades and they are on their first dispatch, I see training consultant. Look, I got it. I see training consultant is paid $250. Or the part that I hate, and you guys know this, whatever. If you have a smart drive, that 250 jumps to 500. So, there is a nice thing there. You don't have to worry about how many miles they're doing down the road, because let's face it, a lot of these guys, for whatever reason, we have this insane turnover rate, particularly with brand new drivers. We get them and we seem to lose them in less than 6 months. A lot of times that number was staggering to me the last time I heard it, that the percentage of numbers that we get that come here, they train, they get going, they get released, they start making money, and then they quit for whatever reason. I'm like, whatever. But
it's a competitive market right now. Right. And so it is definitely something that we're working on. We want to get better at. But the perk of that is once they do that one revenue generating dispatch, you get paid your incentive, and then we're done. And you go start training again. There's not a drawn out process,
Right.
and if they're here or not here.
And I dig
So
that. I do.
I think it's a smarter approach, and I think it's a better approach. And again, I'm very independent contractor mindset. It was kind of where I lived for a long time, and so
Right.
I was very happy when I saw all these changes. I really think that operating on the speed of trust with people who have already shown it, and we should have high trust in,
Right.
and then making sure the compensation is appropriate. I really think that's the success. I mean, that's a win-win. It's good for our ICs. It's good for the company. I'm a fan.
Yeah, and like Facebook user here says, the first 6 months is the most difficult. I don't know who you are, Facebook user, because that's all we see on our screen. But anyhow, you're right. It is, and that's one of the things I used to tell people. I'm like, look, your first 6 months are going to be the most difficult in this industry. Especially coming fresh into the industry, because honestly, and who was it? Oh, it was David Tillman yesterday on a video with Jeff Moriarty. And he was talking about, we're trying to do better, and because people feel like they're a number, and we're trying to get better at improving that to where it's not a number feel. We want to get to know you. We want to, when you
100%.
call, hey, who are you? You're not just truck 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You're, oh, hey, this is Charlie. Yeah, and so, luckily from day one, I've had that with my driver leader, and I've had the same driver leader from day one. Jeff has the same driver leader. Dana Nelson, whoop whoop, love our Troutdale people, but
Yep.
and
You both have Dana Nelson?
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
You don't even know the story behind Jeff and I. We used to not particularly care for each other, and didn't
Yeah.
know we had the same driver leader. Like Jeff thought I
Yeah.
was full of shit all the time, and oops, shit.
And then Charlie dropped Dana's number, and I texted back to him, I can drop the exact same name.
Yeah, it was great.
They're big guy. So I
Hey,
did.
you know
I
what?
hit it off.
She's really good people, man. I've
I
worked
love
with her
her.
a long time. She's great. Yeah, she really is.
And she absolutely is family, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, she's one of those people that I will drive cross country in my car to go help her out if that's what has to happen. Because I've had things happen in the past while I'm trucking. My daughter had her appendix out. She was like, I can send you a plane ticket right now, wherever I'm like, no, we're good. I have family with her, that sort of thing. And she's always been there to support us. And she really knows owner operators. Seriously.
Well, I think I'm going off of what my topic I was supposed to talk to you
Oh,
guys
you're
about.
good, man.
But and Charlie has known me for a long time. I don't think I ever stayed in the box.
No, never.
I think that's one of those things too, though. I think it's a lot of this stuff, I think is misconceptions. I think it's easy. Like when you go eat somewhere and it's really good, it's good. Maybe you'll go back, and you may tell
Right.
1 or 2 people. But if you get bad service, man, people shout it from the rooftop.
Oh,
You barely.
absolutely.
I mean, for whatever reason, that person could have just got divorced. I mean, they could be having whatever day. You have no idea why, and you don't inquire. But if you have a bad day,
Right.
oh boy, you tell everybody about it. But Dana, as great as I think she is, don't get me wrong, she is fantastic. But I can rattle off dozens of other driver leaders that
Right.
are just fantastic to work with. And I think a lot of terminals really, now don't get me wrong, I totally think we can always get better. And
Absolutely.
I think we've turned the mark the last couple of years. I think we've really done a much better job of being that more of a people-centric company.
Right.
And I think you're a lot of terminals, you're seeing it, the improvements we made at the terminals and all the different things. They're doing a lot of really great things, I think, that are more driver-centric, that show the humanity of it all, that we
Right.
really are a big company with that little company feel. But I think we have a ton of fantastic people. And those couple knuckleheads, though, or those couple bad
Right.
situations,
Oh, absolutely.
man, they get blown out of proportion. And you're like,
Oh,
man,
yeah.
I kill myself. I come into work I work every day. I'm really love what I do. And then you hear these stories, well, oh, this is so bad, or this is so bad. And I'm like, no, it's not. It was a really bad day for that person, or a bad
Right.
situation. But overall, I think we're a great company. You guys have been here a long time. You guys seem to be doing well. Like,
Yeah.
I think there's more success stories out there. We just don't,
Right.
I don't know,
Nobody
in the
talks.
world,
They don't
we
talk
don't
about them enough.
we don't advertise the wins,
it's-
man, the success as much as we do oh, this is bad or this is bad. Well, what about the stuff that's good? Let's start talking about that and hyping it up more.
Right.
Well, Charlie and I have talked about that because of what we're trying to accomplish. There's our Contractors Corner group
I love that, by the
that's
way.
growing, and then there's this like other group that we won't talk about right now. But
Oh.
people complain a lot in this other Swift group.
They cry and moan and piss.
Charlie and I were
oh.
talking a couple months ago about how many guys do we know that are successful owner operators, successfully running their business, and maybe they mentor, maybe they don't, but
Oh, we're on a
they're
successful business.
successful.
Yeah.
But there's hundreds of us, but there's 2 of us, whoop, whoop, right
Yeah.
now. And
Right.
we need more of those guys to come out of the closet, as it were, and tell people, no, you can be successful here, really,
100%. Oh,
you
100%.
know,
But it's cool because I'm seeing like Dennis Lewis, Rosie, of course, Ken Kelly, who else? Facebook user Robbie Mead.
Right.
Like
Right. Meat.
you're seeing a lot of folks that are like, I really think what you guys are doing is awesome. I mean, I really do. I think you guys
We're
have kind of
trying.
taken it upon yourself, and I respect that. I think this is really cool that you guys are taking the time to do these things.
Well,
yeah.
look, we spend a lot of time doing this, and it's a lot of learning, but Jeff and I, like we said earlier, we both love to train, right? We love teaching. We like sharing knowledge and that sort of thing. I mean, this is turning into something else bigger and better down the road. Jeff and I have business plans involved that kind of revolve around all this sort of thing. And one of the things that we're going to do is actually train or coach new owner operators to help them maybe start out on a stronger foot and help them out with their first year, through one-on-one coaching, on a regular
Yeah.
basis. So they have access to those things that he and I maybe, or others don't have access to. They like, look, there was just this big conversation yesterday or the day before. And we had a driver, and I'm not going to call anyone out specifically, but the guy was having trouble. He didn't know how much he was being paid by his contract. I'm like, dude, you signed a 50 some odd paid contract. How do you
Right.
not know what you're getting? He's like, well, I think it's $1. Bro,
Hasn't been that in a while.
look, I stayed out of this conversation because I've mentally not been able to hold my tongue, right? Because I'm
Yeah.
going to come out of my face sideways the wrong way. Jeff went in there and handled that one. It was great. He had a good conversation with this dude and some other people. But the funny thing for us is this turns into, like, Jeff and I argue in this other group that we won't mention. And I mean, we get in there and we go at, we just
You guys cracking me up.
hammering, right?
Yeah.
And we're like, and people are like, why are you arguing so much? Why are you? I'm like, because you know what? Because we're arguing with this one guy that is adamant that we're wrong, we're stupid, we don't know what we're talking about yet. We're doing what he's trying to do, right? And there's 100 other guys, 200 other guys that are reading this and not saying anything. And over time, they realize that what we're saying is true, because we throw numbers up, just like like anything else. I mean, the numbers don't lie,
Right.
So
Right.
so so that's kind of where we come from on this sort of thing. And yeah,
And
so that's what we're doing.
so the other thing about this guy that didn't read his contract is one of our other members happened to be at the terminal he was at,
Right.
and hunted him down basically. And they talked to, what do you say, Charlie, like 6 hours
Oh yeah.
going over the contract
So you guys talked
and
about it
and
on this,
helping him.
and then he found out and
No, it
went
was
and
actually
helped
in
him
a
out.
Facebook group where this went on, and it was one of the people that are in our
Ah.
we have a private Facebook group. It's Swift Contractors Corner. It's a private group,
Yeah.
all specifically verified owner operators. We go through and verify that they're active. We continually stay on. Are they still here? Are they still contracted to us? All that stuff. So and it's about 120 people in that group, and we're always trying to grow that. But you have to be a verified contractor to get into it, with Swift. So, but in that group, but yeah, so we have a lot of people there that really follow along and try to learn things, right? But this other group that we're talking about, that shall remain nameless, is just it's mind blowing, the negativity and the lack of knowledge. And we're like, hey, if you want to learn something, pop into our group and let's have a real conversation. Let's not talk about how crappy Swift is or any of that. We don't talk bad about other companies in our group. We talk about how can we do
What's
better.
the benefit?
Exactly.
Yeah, but that's the part I never understood is
Right.
dogging on something to make yourself feel better. I don't know. I've social media, and I've stepped back out of that quite a bit because it seems like it's so easy for the negative spiral just to
Right.
do its thing, and you're like, man, like, is it really necessary? Like, if you're not going to be happy, then consider the alternative is being
Right.
miserable. Like, what's the purpose of that?
Yeah, and I mean, why are you going to focus on that crap? You have a group of people here that are doing what you're trying, or have achieved what you're trying to achieve, right?
Why would you not want to just link on with those people and try to
Right.
learn all you can? Hey, that doesn't mean you got to listen to everything. Like Charlie might be
Right.
crazy, but there's stuff Jess got that may make sense to me, or that you just take little pieces of what you guys have done and then apply it to how I want to apply it. And I don't know, I'm a huge fan of the growth mindset. I ran the Owner Up page way back when on Facebook, and I tried to put little motivational things up, man. It was like I don't even remember, like every day is a sunny day, and then all of a sudden there'd be 13 comments of people just saying it's raining here.
Yeah, you bastard, shut up.
I'm like, man, what the heck did I do? Why? Where's the happiness in people
anymore? But that's why we set up the private group. And social media is a time sucker, man. I catch myself on it way too much. My wife catches herself on it way too much. And
I'm here.
And so people know too, we're not quite ready to announce yet, but we are working on a different social media platform.
Okay.
That'll be away from Facebook a little bit, so that we can kind of do our own thing
for us. Yeah.
And we'll have some exciting things there once we get that up and running.
I still got to give this headset away. I still haven't given this damn thing. I still haven't figured out how I'm going to give this away yet. It's still sitting here. It's coming. I'm working on it, guys. Look, my brain is shot. What do you want me to do?
If any of our audience used to be a lawyer, give Charlie a ring, because that's what we're dealing with, is the legal ramifications of giving a headset away.
Doesn't that sound crazy?
There's legal ramifications.
It does sound.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
You just can't give it out of the goodness of your heart.
No, you can't. It's
really.
It is like have to prove that.
Joran.
You have to prove, like if you do some sort of lottery or sweepstakes or whatever, you have to prove that it was truly random.
You have to have official rules posted.
You have to prove that. You have to prove that what you didn't do was put it up like it was a contest. But hey, Joran, you and I are friends. Here's your headset.
Oh,
you have to prove.
Mind you, I paid for this headset with my own. It was my money. It wasn't donated by anybody. It's not a promotional thing. It's literally a headset I bought. I tried it for a day, didn't like it, and I bought the one Jeff's wearing on his head right now, and said I'm going to go with that one. And it's been sitting there ever since. I wore it a day. I just the Ram McNally, which I did a review on YouTube. You can see it over on Swift Contractor's Corner. It's one of my most popular videos. I'm just saying. But anyhow, it is a phenomenal headset. I mean, and I'm actually. So I haven't told Jeff this yet, but I'm actually going to get one of those Ram McNally's, and we're going to be giving that one away here not too long. I have a whole nother idea for that one. But yeah,
sweet.
So yeah. But anyhow, look. So the mentor thing, you guys, my big thing was I wanted to stress that this isn't the next owner operator gold rush. Please get into this if you want to train people. If you've thought about I wonder what it's like to train someone. You know what? Put in the application, do some learning, make sure that you're solid on your end, and then give it a shot. Train one guy, train one girl, whatever. I don't even know how to act anymore. I don't know pronouns and all that stuff. Look, get out there and train someone, right? Get one under your belt, see what it's like, see if it's for you. If it's not for you, be an adult, be a good, solid business guy, step out of that and say, look, it's not for me. And hey, no harm, no foul, right?
Hey, some of my favorite
I totally agree with that.
Some of my favorite comments I see on the other groups is those guys that, hey, yeah, just got done with my first student, I'm done. I can't do it. I'm like, good, cool. You gave it a shot. You found out it wasn't for you. Good,
and do your thing. Don't put students through it. And that's what I hate seeing is folks that don't have the passion or the love for it anymore. Don't get me wrong. I obviously have a need. I want good mentors. I need good mentors to train. But man, I will pass on a good mentor. I'm sorry. I will pass on a bad mentor and wait for a good mentor. I don't want people who don't have a love or a passion for it.
Right.
And there's, I've been here almost 17 years. I love what I do, and I love Swift. I don't, for anybody who's been here longer than 10 years, I mean, I get it. There's these those memes that say, if you die, your company will replace you tomorrow, but blah 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 blah. I'm like, yeah, but they've been paying me for years, and they've taken good care of me. Like I owe them too. I'm grateful and thankful, and especially in the world we live in today, that I've got a secure job that I'm confident in. Like I owe the company. I owe the company the same. And if you could do one student, great. And then you find, wow, you know what? I really enjoy teaching. Who knew? I'm actually pretty good at it. Or I don't like teaching. I hate giving up my space. Okay, cool. That's cool too.
Exactly.
But don't do it then. I loved how Jess said it. Just respectfully step aside and say, no, thank you. It's not for me.
Yeah.
And we're cool with that. But
You know, one of the neat things, I'm sorry to cut you off. One of the
no.
neat things for owner operators here is Jeff and I both also used to do this very same thing, that when we got these students on the truck, we weren't just teaching them how to run a company truck. I mean, we that was our focus. That was our main focus on that, right? Is how to operate a company truck successfully, how to make, you know, for that guy to, or gal or person. See, I just person, for that person to make money, right? I mean, that's why they're coming to the company. So let's get them on that best foot. But then if they were open to it or they had questions, Jeff and I were the guys that were teaching them, you know, how to run the business on the back end. Why is it that we're driving 60 miles an hour and said we could do 70? They're like, why aren't you doing 70? This is stupid. We could be there already. Yeah, but you're not making any more money. And that opens up the conversation.
Why aren't you buying fuel where Swift told you to?
Right. Yeah, you know, all those things.
Well,
you know,
hold on
like,
now.
well, for us, you know,
for the contractors,
right. For the contractor, you know, we have to explain to them, look, you know, when you have a fuel route as a company guy, you're expected to follow that fuel route. For us as company owners or contractors, we have to find the best fuel for us, you know, the best price fuel. And so it just opens up their world and their view to a lot more things in this industry. And I actually think that people like Jeff and I, who were teaching these guys, you know, the business side of things, have either saved guys from making the mistake of leasing a truck when they, you know, they were like, oh, I'm going to do it. And then saw what we do. And they're like, oh, never mind. That's not for me. Or they're like, hey, this is going to be awesome. I never even thought I could do it. But look, you know, these guys are doing it. If they can do it, why can't I?
Right. Maybe push them to do something that they didn't even think about. Yeah.
Now, to be fair, I would talk probably 80% of people out of becoming an owner op.
Absolutely.
After talking to them for the first 10 or 20 minutes.
Yep.
Because it ain't for everybody. And
it's
that's
not
just the
for
reality.
everybody.
Yeah.
100%.
You know,
you have to, for me, I always tell people I do it because of the love of the game. If I wasn't driving a truck, I'd own some other business. That's just me. And if you have that attitude, being an owner op's great. But if you're chasing pennies and miles, not so much. You know, the whole business is about doing your job well, whether you're mentoring or just, you know, doing OTR freight. You know, the better you do at your job, the better you are, then the money just kind of follows almost as an afterthought.
Well, it goes back to Charlie, right?
Absolutely, because you know, great mentors don't follow the money. The money follows great mentors. Whoop, whoop.
That's right.
I like that.
Mean, you know, I raised 6 kids. My wife like stays at home. We're one of those really weird traditional type families, you know. So my wife.
Is that why you went over the
kids. Road? Sure. Yeah. Get away.
I've got 3 kids. I can tell you, I like being.
But you know, I raised 6 kids on a truck driver salary.
Right. As an owner op almost the whole time. And understand, he started in 08 when the market was absolute crap.
Oh, yeah.
And I think his first contract was like 86 cents a mile. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah. That first year, I leased my first truck in February, and the housing crunch started that September. And I was like a lot of guys, Charlie and I've talked about it. It's like when you go to your second day or so in basic training, where you're asking yourself, what did I just do?
Right.
You know,
absolutely.
Everybody has that. And so I'm all excited about starting my business, and then the economy just goes in the toilet 6 months later. And I'm like, oh, 12 and a half years.
Look at you now.
And now we're both in paid for trucks. You know, Jeff just recently paid his truck off. He's like, oh my God, I can actually take time off and not worry about it anymore. You know,
and you guys are still mentoring. You guys both said you stopped mentoring, but you're liars. You're on a call, you're on this meeting right now, and you guys are totally giving advice to all these guys. You really like. I'm watching these things, and I'll tell you what, you guys do have the most positive group. You got all these guys totally giving good feedback. I see patience is key. Awesome group. A more awesome, just it's necessary. Like you guys are impacting the community in the independent contractor community, and so I think
it makes us feel good. Trust me.
You may not be training students, but I'm telling you, you might be training the next successful group of ICs out there. You might be leading these guys down a path of, or telling them not to go that path, right?
Right.
You're setting them on a direction that it maybe will be more beneficial to them. So I think hats off to both of you guys for what you're doing.
Well, thank you, Joran. The things that Jeff and I are known for not doing is we don't sugarcoat it. We don't, man. We're like, look, what do the numbers say?
Yeah.
And they're like, I don't know. Well, then you need to figure out your numbers. If you don't know how to figure them out, then get with us. We can teach you. We have videos on a lot of these numbers on
Sure.
how to figure them out. And if you don't know and you don't understand, then ask the question, but don't throw a bunch of crap out there and say this is how it is because that's just your experience. Well, I can show you, 100 other guys that have an experience that are positive where yours is negative. What are they doing different that you're not?
But that's the other key. I think, and this is going back to my working in the owner operators world. There were a lot of folks that would love to argue with me that had no idea their
yeah.
numbers. And if you don't know your numbers, what do you bring into the fight? You can't argue with
Right.
me about something you don't even understand. I think if you're going to be an independent contractor, you truly do have to know when you're signing all those documents. You got to look at the numbers. You got to make sure
Absolutely.
how those figures make sense and how you make money. How do you get mad about how much money you make if you don't know how you make money? So that's where
Right.
it's so important to know those details, and it isn't that complicated. It is if you don't take the time to understand it. But once you
Exactly.
do, it's like the Matrix. It's just a bunch of numbers, but once it
Right.
makes sense, it's like,
Then it's this beautiful
duh.
picture,
Yeah,
right?
it's
just
oh
like,
wow, if I do this or this,
Well,
I can make more money. And that's
yeah,
where we want to see all of our ICs successful. And if training is part of that success, awesome. If it's
absolutely.
not, then let's find what makes sense for you so that you can raise 6 kids or 4 dogs or have a house or a motorcycle addiction or
Can I
whatever
raise a
your
rabbit?
thing is.
I want
Get,
rabbit slippers. Is that wrong to say out loud?
no, why
My
not?
bad.
Wait, real rabbits or like those little fake rabbit slippers?
No, I want furry rubber. Look, rubber. I mean rabbit, furry rabbit. I want a rabbit skin blanket. Is that wrong?
Oh
I don't
boy,
know. I'm gonna catch
this
hell
call
for this
went
one. Never mind. Let's just get away from that. I
this call went
apologize.
sideways, Jeff. Maybe me and you should pick up from here.
Oh,
Look,
shoot, man. You're gonna have to bless the pygmies here.
There we go.
Hey guys, if you guys have any questions, we're getting a little long now, but if you got any questions, get them in now so we can get to those. If not, then if this is what's been doing it for you and you're digging what's going on, if you're on YouTube, we need those thumbs up. Remember, it helps us with the analytics. Subscribe and all that stuff. If you're on Facebook and you haven't already done so, and we see you show up like this, Facebook user, we've got that wonderful little link that you can
That's
go
Robbie
check
Mead,
out.
by the way.
Right. Well, it might
Yeah.
be. It could be a different one. We don't know.
Oh, good call. Good call.
See what I'm
I
saying?
didn't think about that.
But if you go to that link right there, chat.restream.io/FB, and accept the little dealio there, it says, hey, I'm pretty sure Ken McBee's leaving.
There's Ken McBee. Yep.
Bye, Ken.
The infamous.
But yeah, and so when that sort of stuff, if you can get on there and click on that button, say, hey, yes, and then we'll see your name, and we won't be like, hey, Facebook user, we don't know who you are.
Yeah.
What would Ken say here? A common mistake is longer miles means more money. I can run 3 trips for 2,100 miles and make more money than a single 2,100 mile trip.
Say it again for the people in the back, man. I used to argue with people about that all the time. It's
right.
not the length of the trip doesn't dictate your success. Like you can run so many different ways and be successful. It's about the productivity aspect. That's really the biggest key.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. If you understand the sliding pay scale too, you run those. Like I'm kind of famous for running Opal like a Walmart search. I love those guys. They got a great team over there, and I'll make up $1,000 more a week than I do OTR when I'm there. And it's because all the loads are like 300 miles, 2 to 3 stops.
But there's that. But it goes back to the misconception. Remember, you have to have a 10,000 mile load to make any money, and then it's so crazy. It's like the misconception. I think that's where the internet is so fun. Is everybody's entitled to an opinion, even though they maybe shouldn't have one. Everybody gets one, and it's like, man, the misinformation just sends people astray so much. You can run back-to-back 300-mile loads and totally kill it as an independent contractor, as long as it's set up correctly. Now, if you're under a 300-mile load for 2 days, you probably need to talk to your operations team and work on a T-call, but you can even run that if you run it right and you T-call it. And I always used to use the analogy like a burrito, and I'm a little on the heavy side, so maybe burritos I always try to bring it to food. But if you have a load and it's a burrito and you cut it in half, if there's a terminal in the middle somewhere, leave a little meat on the burrito for the next guy. You can't run it to the end and then leave that little tortilla end. You have to make it fair, and you can run your piece and someone else can run. But once you T-call, you can grab another load and take off. So
he forgot something.
He did forget something. I know.
Look, there he goes.
His car keys.
Hi, Ken.
Oh,
wait. Hi, Ken. I never know which hand to use. So, but yeah, I love you, Ken. You're awesome, man. I don't care what Joran says about you.
Even though all the bad stuff, I just got done talking about you. Have a good night.
So
yeah.
yeah, well, so yeah, back to like this contract thing
Sorry.
too, though. So just wanted to bring up 2 points on that. Number one, Charlie and we're going to be working on a how to read your contract type
For
video
real.
That's awesome.
for reals
Long
because
overdue.
man, it is. It's way overdue. And second, I think Charlie is the same as me. So I've signed 3 leases with Swift over the years, and on the average, it takes me into the mid afternoon if I start right when the owner op division in Phoenix opens. I'll be done by mid afternoon signing that contract.
Right.
There's a reason for that. I actually read it. Okay. I know it's long. I know it's all legalese, but you guys got to read that contract.
I got a lawyer to read my
And
first one to me. I paid this guy $1,000 to read the words to me because I was like, I want to make sure I'm not missing something here because this is a binding legal contract. And then like the guy the other day that we were talking about earlier, he just docu-signed it, doesn't have a hard copy of it. He's just done. So
Yeah.
luckily he's learned something from that though. So we're good. I'm not harping on the guy. It's just one example of many that are out there. And that's really one of the things that we see all the time is they just don't know what's in the contract. And it's a shame. It's sad. It's frustrating and it pisses me off on a regular basis. I mean, it's all these things wrapped into one, right? You want to laugh at them and you want to shake your head and then you want to hug them because you're like, oh, you poor man, you know? And I just don't know how to do it other than, you know, we hammer it in. You guys got to read these contracts, and it's just like, look, the mentor addendums. You got to read this. You know, it's not a big long deal, but you need to read it. You need to understand what you're getting into, what you're going to be paid, what you're not going to be paid, how you get paid, and how you make that all happen. So, you know, contracts are important, you guys. Seriously.
Well, you got to know the monies and cents. If you don't
Right.
have all that, I don't know how you can argue a position if you don't know anything about the position. Like you got to understand how you make money. That's just so important when you think like if you like Jeff had a great goal. He wanted to do this.
Right.
Like how do you get to your next step if you can't if you don't even know what your steps currently are? Like
Exactly.
you have no direction, and so it really makes it hard for anybody to really position like my 5-year plan if I don't have anything in between. Then
Right.
you're just shooting in the dark. And then at 5 years, get upset and go to social media, tell everybody how upset you are about your failed plan that you didn't plan.
Right.
And so
that's kind of an inside joke with me and Charlie. Whenever we get upset about something, I'll text him and say, "I'm going on Facebook."
I'm going to make this official on Facebook.
See, Jeff was dark the last couple of days, so I didn't bug him. But let's see. The other day, I showed up at a shipper to pick up a trailer, and it had a flat tire. And first thing I thought, oh, I better tell Jeff. I'm going to get on social media and tell him, you know, how much
bad
crap
on-road
this is,
is.
you know,
Right.
and
Start
because I
casting
got a flat
stones
tire
everywhere.
and I'm sitting here for 2 hours, and then the very next day, next load, I'm another load. Completely different. Reefer dies. I'm down for 6 hours, halfway to my first. Oh my God, it was such a long day. But you know, nobody heard about it on Facebook. I don't know. It was just part of my daily deal. Whatever. Let's move on and suck it up and you know, and I don't get breakdown pay. I mean, I'm an owner operator. It's just the cost of doing business. It's just another day. Let's make it happen and
Well,
get on to the
consider
next.
the alternative though. That's the part that I wholeheartedly, strongly believe is I've had to clean up my personal Facebooks and such just
Right.
because listen, if you're part of that crew that just the world is always doing stuff bad to you,
Right.
I have a hard time buying those anymore. I feel like we all kind of have a little bit of responsibility in this
Yeah.
world to take care of
Yeah.
what life has, and you know it can
Personal responsibility, y'all.
weird concept. I get
I
it, but
know.
I feel like if you're bringing all that negativity and that energy around, I just don't think that that's necessary. If you're not gonna at least try to find the silver lining to the whatever problem you may be encountering, then you're probably somebody that's just going to take all the happiness and fun out of my life too, and I just don't have time for that.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy when it goes like that because you get just this constant and me and Jeff and I will call each other and I'm like, bro, did you just read that?
Yep.
Okay, are you gonna respond to this or am I? Because you should probably take this one, Jeff, because I'm gonna be like, you're an idiot.
Well, I appreciate you guys. I don't want to talk ill about anybody, talking all this positive, and then I'm going to turn the table a little bit. But it from a I feel like it's an us versus you thing on some of the social media stuff. There's the office people and then there's the driving people. And I'd never have seen the difference. I've had a ton of friends that are drivers that I spent time with, had over to
Right.
the house. Like I don't see a difference. I can't succeed without you. And I like to think that we complement each other well. But I does feel like there's some of those people that really have the, you know, you versus us. And you guys, I think sometimes help when the one group can police themselves a little bit. I think
Right.
it shows a little bit more of the camaraderie. And I think there's a lot of people who really do great things, office and driving, that
Absolutely.
make this company go so well. We didn't get to this place, I think 55 plus years. Like it's not by accident.
Yeah.
So it obviously something's working and something's
Well,
going on.
Jordan, you and I and Jeff, we're all on the same page here. It's the us versus them thing. Let's get rid of it. It's because it's
Yeah.
all of us. We just have different roles. You're doing your thing, Jordan. Jeff is doing his thing. Jeff and I do a lot of things differently, but we get to the same place at the end, right?
It's okay.
Yeah.
There's
So
no there's no prescription that you have to do it the
right.
exact same, right?
You know, a lot of times when we're dealing with people, whether it's a company driver or an owner operator, our solution that we give them right there for everybody to see on Facebook is, well, have you talked to the person?
Right.
Have you tried to build a relationship with your terminal management?
Nah,
Right.
Because
I
for
just went to
both of
social
us,
media.
for both of us, it's the relationships we built for me over the last 15 years that has made me a success. You know, it's not all roses, absolutely not all roses. Driving truck kind of sucks sometimes. But you know, I've got this whole team of people. Like
Right.
I've had one accident in 15 years, Joran. And I actually posted
Wow.
it on Facebook. People saw it. It was one of those things I shouldn't have been driving, got in the ice, ended up in the ditch. Well, you know, Lonnie, my terminal leader, he called me at the just after I checked into my hotel at 1 o'clock in the morning. He actually called me in the middle of the night to see if I was okay.
Right.
You know, that tell me that that's not a great indicator of how management actually thinks of us.
But,
Right.
You
that's
know,
a good story that we don't hear enough about, because you only hear about the guy who doesn't get the call or who doesn't, and it's always automatic to the negative assumption that, oh, they hate us.
Right.
No, man, I tell you what, I take calls in the evening. Everything forwards to my cell phone. I get calls all the time. I get calls on the weekends. I was on vacation this last weekend. I took a phone call. Like I'm
Lord
always
knows
available.
Jordan catches it for me all the time because I'm
Yeah.
constantly hitting him, and I'm not even a mentor, y'all.
He Facebooks me all the time, and but hey, it's because this is what we do. I love what I do. It
Right.
isn't work to me. I enjoy talking to you, Charlie. We've been talking for years now.
Oh yeah.
I think that there's a lot of really great people who are trying to do the right thing, and I really do, in my heart of hearts, I swear to God, I believe that Swift could get better, no doubt. But I think that most of the people, I think 95% of the people, both office and not office, really truly want to
Right.
see Swift win and want to see drivers win and want to see. I need you to do what I do. My job is to support you. Like that, honest to God, that's what I'm here to do, is make sure that we support each other. And I think there's a lot more honest,
Right.
like awesome stories out there than maybe we quite share. And we probably should have maybe like a one whole broadcast. We'll just tell good stories about
Right.
different
Look,
wins we've
and
had.
that is the perfect note to end this on, because look, I'm feeling good. We're up. I need to start dancing, and that looks more like a seizure, but whatever. And so yeah, so hey, you guys, look, I want to thank everybody for being here. Jordan, thank you so much for popping in here, man. It really means a great deal to all of us. You guys that are watching and chiming in and commenting, we dig the hell out of you. Seriously,
Yeah, absolutely.
you take time out of your day. Hey, what do you guys think of this 6 o'clock start? I don't know. Maybe throw some comments. Let us know what you think. We seem to have a few more people than we normally do, and yeah, it seemed to gone well. But comments, thumbs up, subscribe. If you're watching this on the replay, throw up questions, and we will get to those questions like we do all the time. Once again, thanks you, Joran, Jeff, for being here. You guys are awesome. Yeah, and you know what? So you guys take care of yourselves. No one's looking after us but us, so seriously, look after each other, be good people, stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you next time here on Contractor's Corner. Be safe.